Across the scorched African plains, dawn brings no relief. A mother honey badger emerges, ready to defend her bloodline against impossible odds. At just 3 months old, her single cub is completely vulnerable, relying entirely on maternal instinct to navigate a hostile territory. Scarred by past battles, she carries the wisdom of a survivor, knowing that every scent on the dry wind spells potential disaster. The dry season has stripped the savanna bare, driving predators into desperate competition for every scrap of living protein. She begins digging relentlessly into the hard clay, unearthing burrowing insects to provide vital nourishment for her growing young. Powerful front claws churn through baked soil, a reminder of the relentless physical stamina that defines the mustelid family. She shares the meager catch with her cub, but her attention remains divided between feeding and scanning the perimeter. 200 meters away, an ancient acacia tree offers shade and an elevated vantage point over the open ground. A hungry male leopard rests on a heavy bow, his keen golden eyes locking onto the small moving figures below. Patience turns into predatory focus as the big cat calculates the precise angle of approach for an ambush. With absolute silence, the predator climbs down the trunk, utilizing the textured bark to mask any accidental sound. Low to the ground, the spotted hunter creeps through bleached grass, closing the distance step by deliberate step. Suddenly, the mother stops digging. The breeze shifts, carrying a heavy feline musk that triggers an immediate defense response. She issues a guttural rattle, nudging her bewildered offspring toward the shelter of a nearby rocky crevice. As the leopard steps into clear view, the mother honey badger plants her feet firmly, refusing to yield an inch. The leopard measures his opponent with calculated patience, aware that attacking a cornered mother carries immense risk of injury. Exploding forward in a lightning feint, the big cat lashes out with heavy claws, throwing up clouds of dry red dust. Standing her ground, the badger releases a deafening war rattle, warning the giant that her territory is paid in blood. Under the relentless midday sun, the African heat amplifies the tension as two formidable survival strategies collide without compromise. Shifting his weight, the leopard circles to the right, attempting to bypass her ferocious defense and reach the rock opening. Every step is matched with precise aggression, keeping her stout body locked as an impenetrable wall before her hidden cub. Heavy ivory digging claws dig deep into the baking clay, anchoring her low-slung frame against the cat's superior mass. The leopard commits to full contact, slamming his immense weight down in an attempt to pin the defiant mustelid. Her thick, rubbery skin proves decisive, allowing her body to rotate freely within her hide and turn the attack around. Snapping her jaws toward his sensitive nose, she forces the spotted predator to release his grip and leap backward. Puffing heavily on the sun-baked stone, the leopard shakes his head, reassessing the ferocity of this deceptively small adversary. From the darkness of the crevice, the small cub peers out, witnessing the ultimate lesson in raw savanna resilience. Predatory desire battles against the pain of retaliation, as amber eyes calculate whether a small meal is worth lasting injury. Raising her bristling mantle to double her apparent size, the mother releases an overpowering musk to disorient the hunter. Lowering his shoulders into a coiled crouch, the leopard prepares for a final decisive assault across the churning dust. With explosive speed, the leopard launches a ferocious final strike, determined to overpower the mother's stubborn defense once and for all. Instead of flinching back, the mother honey badger charges directly into the onslaught, snapping violently at the predator's outstretched paws. A whirlwind of dust and snarls erupts as sharp claws and teeth clash in a desperate contest of wills. Gouging at the cat's forelegs with formidable digging claws, she makes every second of contact intensely painful. Recoiling from her ferocious retaliation, the leopard pulls back, his front paw stinging from her unrelenting counterattack. In the brutal calculus of the wild, an injury means starvation, and the cost of this hunt has become too high. Turning his head away with a low rumble, the big cat yields, stepping backward into the encroaching shadow of the scrub. The spotted hunter disappears across the open plains, seeking easier prey as the fiery afternoon begins to cool. Panting heavily on the churned earth, the mother badger remains fully alert until the predator's scent completely fades from the air. Turning toward the rock fissure, she issues a gentle, rhythmic grunt, calling her young one back into the open. The small cub emerges cautiously from the dark crevice, eagerly pressing its snout against its mother's coarse, battle-tested fur. She quickly inspects her offspring with gentle maternal nudges, ensuring not a single scratch has harmed the next generation. With their location compromised, mother and cub must journey deeper into the savanna before total darkness descends. Side by side, they walk through the golden grasses, leaving behind the battleground where courage proved stronger than size. Survival is not victory. It is only permission to try again tomorrow on Africa's most unforgiving stage. At the foot of a towering termite mound, a banded mongoose emerges into the golden dawn, testing the air for danger. Living in tightly knit family troops, these pint-sized carnivores rely on numbers and lightning-fast reflexes to dominate the savanna undergrowth. A veteran of countless subterranean skirmishes, his drooping right ear and battle-scarred flank tell the story of a seasoned hunter. Across these arid plains, ancient termite mounds serve as both fortress and foraging ground for thousands of small desert dwellers. Equipped with specialized curved claws, he excavates the crumbling base, hunting for scorpions, beetles, and burrowing grubs to fuel his relentless metabolism. High-speed sensory precision allows the mongoose to unearth prey in seconds, never lingering too long in one exposed spot. Expanding his forage toward a dry wash, he investigates decaying timber, where larger prey often takes refuge from the heat. Beneath the cracked bark of a fallen acacia trunk, something ancient and lethal has taken shelter from the rising temperature. A black-necked spitting cobra stirs, its smooth, slate-gray scales catching the light as its forked tongue tastes the air. Catching the pungent scent of reptile scales, the mongoose instantly rears onto his hind legs, every nerve wire-taut with adrenaline. He unleashes a staccato series of high-pitched alarm chitters, signaling to his scattered troop that a deadly threat is near. Provoked by the noise, the cobra rises half a meter into the air, spreading its broad defensive hood in terrifying display. Two natural adversaries stand locked in ancestral confrontation, the venomous architect of death against the agile specialist born to conquer it. Reflexes honed over millions of years calculate distances to the millisecond, knowing that a single mistimed leap means instant doom. Drawing back its neck, the spitting cobra prepares to unleash a pressurized jet of blinding venom directly at the hunter's eyes. With blinding speed, the cobra fires twin streams of pressurized venom, but the mongoose executes a split-second reflexive leap aside. Droplets of corrosive neurotoxic venom sizzle harmlessly on the dry clay, missing their mark by mere fractions of an inch. Circling rapidly on light paws, the agile mammal uses erratic lateral movements to keep the serpent constantly turning and exhausting its stamina. Losing patience, the serpent lunges forward with open fangs, driving its heavy body across the dust in a low, direct strike. Springing straight into the air with acrobatic agility, the mongoose clears the venomous jaws, landing perfectly poised behind the attacking snake. Under the blistering midday heat, the open clearing becomes an arena where one single mistake will instantly end a life. Dense, coarse fur and mutated acetylcholine receptors provide vital defense, yet a direct bite still carries catastrophic physical consequences. Darting in and out, he deliberately taunts the reptile, baiting another reckless strike to deplete its remaining venom reserves. Heavy exertion takes its toll on the cold-blooded predator, its flared hood wobbling slightly as neck muscles begin to fatigue. Sensing the serpent's slowing reaction time, the mongoose drops his center of gravity, preparing to close the fatal distance. He lunges forward, slashing sharp front claws across the snake's muscular flank, disrupting its balance on the dusty earth. Hissing hoarsely, the cobra struggles to recoordinate its defense, its wide hood narrowing as exhaustion sets in deep. Every instinct now locks onto the vulnerable sweet spot directly behind the flared hood, where fangs cannot reach. Coiling his powerful hind legs, the mongoose launches himself forward in a blur of grizzled fur and bared teeth. As the cobra whips around in desperation, sharp ivory teeth snap shut millimeters from the back of its neck. Clamping down on the serpent's neck, the mongoose executes rapid lateral shakes, using muscular momentum to suppress any retaliatory strike. With a violent heave of its muscular coils, the cobra wrenches free, breaking contact and scrambling across the loose earth. Exhausted and thoroughly outmatched, the snake lowers its battered hood, slowly backing toward the safety of the hollow tree. Standing tall on dry clay, the victor watches without pursuing, respecting the lingering lethality of his retreating foe. The slate-gray body glides into the protective shadows of decaying wood, leaving the open savanna battlefield behind. As the dust settles under the amber afternoon sun, peace returns to the clearing where life hung in the balance. Approaching the hollow opening, the mongoose performs a careful scent inspection to verify that the venomous resident remains deep inside. Rearing upright once more, he emits a rhythmic sequence of soft contact chitters, signaling all clear across the dry grass. From the surrounding scrub, fellow troop members scurry forward, reassembling in a flurry of striped fur and energetic twitches. Nose-to-nose greetings and scent marking reaffirm troop solidarity after a high-stakes encounter with their most dangerous neighbor. United as a single living collective, the troop begins its march back toward the towering red termite fortress. Climbing the clay ridges of their home, the agile foragers prepare to enter their deep subterranean chambers before sunset. The vast African sky erupts into shades of deep gold and crimson, casting long purple shadows across the savanna. Perched atop a clay spire, the sentry casts one final watchful gaze across his territory as dusk descends. In the eternal duel between venom and vigilance, it is swift intelligence and collective unity that triumph against the dark. On the wide open plains, a mother warthog grazes on her knees, unearthing succulent roots in the soft morning light. Close beside her, 3 energetic piglets forage and tumble, completely oblivious to the ruthless predators that roam the flat horizon. Her blunt, broken tusk bears witness to past skirmishes. In this unforgiving wilderness, vigilance is the only guarantee of survival. Without trees or dense thickets for cover, the open flatlands offer no hiding places when danger appears on the horizon. Using her tough snout as a living plow, she lifts hard clay to expose nutritious underground bulbs for her growing family. Her razor-sharp lower tusks rub continuously against the upper pair, maintaining an edge capable of inflicting devastating defensive wounds. Half a kilometer away across the grass, a faint plume of dust signals the arrival of the savanna's most coordinated hunters. A pack of African wild dogs advances in loose formation, their mottled coats blending seamlessly with the dry golden vegetation. With 80% hunting success rates, these stamina hunters lock their gaze onto the vulnerable warthog piglets across the flat plain. A sharp metallic scent catches the wind. The mother springs to her feet, her tufted tail snapping erect like an antenna. Barking a guttural command, she propels her young forward, their tiny tails popping straight up in synchronized flight. Exploding into top gear, the wild dogs reach 60 kilometers per hour, closing the gap with terrifying athletic precision. Mother and piglets sprint across the flat terrain, racing toward the only sanctuary that can save them from being torn apart. Reaching the burrow mouth, the piglets dive headfirst into the cool subterranean darkness, disappearing safely into the earth. In a masterstroke of survival, the mother spins around and reverses rear first into the hole, presenting deadly tusks to the arriving pack. At the threshold of the subterranean den, the alpha wild dog paces back and forth, probing for any momentary weakness. He feints low to the ground, trying to draw the massive head out into the open, where numbers can prevail. Inside the narrow entrance, the mother warthog presents an impenetrable barrier of thick bone, leathery skin, and razor-sharp ivory. Gouging the clay walls, her razor-lower tusks clack together, sending a clear sonic warning through the dry subterranean tunnel. Across the shimmering midday plains, the relentless African sun beats down, rapidly draining the stamina of the exposed hunting pack. A younger pack member lunges from the side, attempting to snap at her thick ears around the earthen corner. The mother explodes forward in a devastating half-thrust, slashing her tusks through the air and throwing up red clay dust. Yelping in surprise, the agile predator leaps backward, narrowly escaping the lethal sweep of her blunt ivory weapons. Frustrated by the front entrance, two dogs scramble atop the earthen bank, frantically digging into the hard red soil. Sensing the disturbance above, she braces her muscular shoulders and slams her reinforced skull against the roots of the roof. Deep in the safety of the dark den, three piglets press together in silence, completely shielded from the violent siege. Heavy panting takes its toll on the hunters, their lean bodies radiating heat under the harsh, vertical midday sun. Immovable as a stone bunker, the mother refuses to yield a single inch, holding the narrow choke point with unwavering resolve. Amber eyes narrow in calculated frustration as the alpha recognizes the futility of breaching this subterranean fortress. Regrouping in the churning dust, the wild dog pack prepares one final coordinated attempt to break her impenetrable defense. Making one final bluff charge, the alpha dog tests the perimeter, only to be met by a thunderous clatter of ivory tusks. With a soft, communicative whine, the pack leader calls off the hunt, unwilling to risk disabling injuries for an entrenched meal. Turning in unison, the painted dogs trot smoothly across the open grasslands, their white-tipped tails swaying as they seek easier quarry. The relentless hunters melt into the distant expanse, leaving the battlefield to the quiet whispers of the falling dusk. Patient and unhurried, the mother warthog maintains her defensive position until the last traces of predator scent vanish completely. Satisfied that danger has passed, she steps out onto the open ground, shaking loose red dust from her leathery flanks. A deep breath confirms the victory. The cooling air carries only the sense of dry grass and approaching night. Lowering her head toward the dark threshold, she emits a series of low, rhythmic grunts, calling her offspring into the twilight. One by one, three uninjured piglets scramble out of the darkness, their tiny tails snapping straight up in eager excitement. They crowd around her face in joyful greeting, pressing soft snouts against her tough, warty cheeks in profound relief. Carefully nudging each piglet with her snout, she inspects her family, confirming that the pack failed to take a single life. Returning to the open flatlands, the family resumes grazing on cool evening roots under the calming canopy of twilight. The wide plains settle into majestic stillness, painted in deep violet and gold as the African night takes over. In single file with tails held high, the family marches into the cool darkness, unbroken by the predators that rule the day. In the brutal arena of the savannah, knowing when to retreat into stone is the greatest weapon of all. Emerging from the dawn mist, a veteran Cape Buffalo matriarch leads her heavy herd across the fertile river floodplains. By her flank stays a vulnerable reddish-brown calf, shielded by 800 kilograms of living muscle and bone. Her massive horn helmet, worn smooth by decades of battle, forms an impenetrable crown that has repelled countless apex predators. Along this vital waterway, lush grazing attracts thousands of herbivores, creating a dynamic battleground for survival. Moving in tight collective formation, the herd mows down the tall grasses, their sheer collective mass providing mutual security. Massive cloven hooves churn through deep silt, angering an 800-kilo frame capable of shattering any predator's charge. Only weeks old, the calf remains the focal point of the entire herd's defensive instincts across this exposed landscape. 80 meters away in the dense yellow reeds, shadowed forms adjust their positions, concealed by the whispering vegetation. A pair of hungry lionesses creeps forward with absolute stealth, their golden coats blending seamlessly into the dry reeds. Amber eyes narrow with intense focus, targeting the isolated calf while gauging the formidable horns of the protective mother. Warning shrieks from red-billed oxpeckers trigger immediate alarm. The matriarch snaps her heavy head up, catching the feline scent. She stomps a heavy hoof into the mud and bellows a deep, rallying roar, calling the herd into battle formation. Responding instantly, the adults form an impenetrable outward-facing wall of curved horns, locking the vulnerable calf safely in the center. Forced into the open, the lionesses step out of the reeds, their predatory ambush thwarted by disciplined herd cohesion. Across 20 meters of trampled mud, predator and prey lock eyes in a breathless standoff before the inevitable clash. Spreading out in a coordinated flanking maneuver, the lionesses attempt to separate the herd by probing the outer defensive flanks. Exploding into a sprint, the lead lioness drives hard toward the left flank, claws digging deep into the cracked mud. Refusing to allow a breach, the veteran matriarch steps out of the formation, lowering her formidable skull to meet the charge. Her massive fused horn boss acts as a reinforced battering ram, designed by nature to deflect and shatter predatory assaults. Under the blistering midday heat, the churning mudflat becomes a high-stakes crucible where brute collective power defies apex predation. As the lioness leaps forward, the matriarch sweeps her blunt horns upward in a violent clash that sends shockwaves through the dust. Deflected mid-air by the solid horn boss, the big cat tumbles backward across the silt, scrambling desperately to regain her footing. Sensing the predator's hesitation, the matriarch bellows a thunderous war cry, shifting the entire herd from defense to all-out offense. Heavy hooves pound the baked earth in unison, kicking up a colossal wall of dust that completely engulfs the riverbank. Safely enclosed in the herd's protective center, the young calf gallops steadily, shielded by an impenetrable moving ring of muscle. An avalanche of slate-black giants surges forward, transforming 800 tons of living bovid mass into an unstoppable freight train. Realizing the terrifying reversal, the lionesses abandon the hunt and sprint in panic across the dry plains for their lives. Leading the charge with unbroken momentum, the scarred matriarch pursues relentlessly, driving the apex predators toward distant thorn scrub. Scrambling desperately, the scarred lioness leaps into the tangled branches of a thorn thicket to escape the thundering hooves below. As the herd surrounds the thorn refuge, the matriarch stands guard before the trapped pride, holding total dominance over the battlefield. At the base of the thorn thicket, the matriarch holds the perimeter, ensuring the trapped predators dare not descend. Perched awkwardly among sharp thorns, the defeated lioness watches the wall of black horn helmets, completely neutralized. Satisfied that the threat is contained, the scarred matriarch turns her massive shoulders, signaling the herd to withdraw. Golden late afternoon light washes over the scrubland, transforming the chaotic battleground into a peaceful golden expanse. Returning to the center of the herd, the mother gently nudges her fuzzy calf, confirming its total safety. The small reddish-brown calf presses affectionately against her flank, completely unharmed after the high-stakes confrontation. Red-billed oxpeckers flutter back to their perches, picking harmlessly at ticks across her thick, slate-black hide. Tiny feathered sentinels groom the massive horn boss, restoring the ancestral partnership between giant and bird. United in victory, the heavy herd marches across the river floodplains, their rhythmic strides echoing across the wetlands. Massive silhouettes kick up sparkling water droplets as they cross the shallow river under an amber evening sky. Mother and calf drink peacefully together from the cool stream, their reflections shimmering in the rich sunset glow. Lowering their heavy heads, the bovids resume grazing, nourished by rich floodplain grasses in the cool dusk air. The vast African sky erupts into deep violet and gold, casting a majestic, tranquil canopy over the savanna wetlands. Side by side with the next generation, the matriarch leads her unshakable fortress forward into the gathering night. On the wild plains of Africa, brute force yields to the supreme power of collective courage and maternal devotion. As dawn warms the frozen red sands of the Kalahari, a lone sentry meerkat emerges to scan the vast desert sky. Perched on an elevated vantage point, he emits continuous soft peeping calls, reassuring the foraging clan that all is safe. Reassured by the sentry, the entire clan pours outward, soaking in the sun's warmth to elevate their sluggish desert metabolisms. Across the harsh red expanses of the southern desert, survival demands absolute teamwork and unbroken sensory vigilance. With heads buried deep in loose sand, foragers rely entirely on the sentry's eyes while excavating hidden prey. Deft claws disarm a venomous thick-tailed scorpion in milliseconds, removing the lethal stinger before offering it to the young. An adult passes the dead scorpion to an eager pup, teaching the next generation how to safely consume venomous prey. High on his perch, the sentry tilts his head back, dark eye patches cutting the blinding desert glare like sunglasses. 2,000 feet above the dunes, a massive Martial Eagle rides thermal currents, searching for the slightest movement below. Telescopic yellow eyes lock onto the small foraging shapes, initiating a silent dive capable of reaching 100 miles per hour. At the exact same moment on the ground, a Cape Cobra slithers silently through the grass, cutting off the main burrow. Glancing from the diving shadow above to the deadly serpent below, the sentry realizes his family is caught in a duel ambush. He unleashes a frantic, high-pitched double alarm bark, sounding the urgent code for immediate subterranean evacuation. The vast dunes stretch out, overseen by predators circling high above. Silence reigns, broken only by the wind. Trapped between talons dropping from the heavens and lethal fangs blocking the earth, the clan faces total annihilation. Folding his wings at the final fraction of a second, the sentry screams as talons plunge into the crimson sand. 8 razor talons slam into empty red dust, missing the agile mammals by mere inches as they scatter outward. Refusing to flee blindly, the adult meerkats rally in a bristling phalanx, growling fiercely to confuse both lethal predators. With a 2-meter wingspan flaring in the harsh midday light, the giant raptor adjusts its footing, screeching in frustration. Under the scorching noon sky, the Calcrete gravel pan turns into a triangular battleground where 3 deadly survival strategies collide. Agitated by the thundering wings, the golden cobra rears higher, hissing venomously as it strikes at the nearest shadow. Coordinating their harassment, the meerkats spray sand toward the raptor, deliberately steering its predatory gaze toward the coiled serpent. Recognizing a larger and slower meal, the Martial Eagle shifts its deadly yellow stare from the meerkats to the cobra. Launching forward with heavy wing beats, the eagle strikes the serpent, its thick feathered legs shielding against the defensive bite. Heavy black talons lock around the serpent behind its hood, crushing the spinal column before Venom can find skin. As the apex predators lock in mortal combat, the sentry seizes the precious diversion to evacuate the precious pups. The tiny pups tumble headfirst into the cool red earth burrow, vanishing safely beneath the subterranean sand layers. Standing guard at the threshold, the scarred sentry watches his family disappear into safety before preparing his own retreat. With powerful strokes of massive wings, the Martial Eagle lifts into the sky, carrying its heavy reptilian prize away. As the aerial shadow recedes across the dunes, the sentry remains vigilant, ensuring the desert horizon holds no further threats. Standing tall against the cooling sky, the sentry releases a melodious all-clear call across the tranquil red sand dunes. Hearing the familiar cadence, the clan pops out of subterranean shelter, blinking softly into the soothing amber sunlight. Relief sweeps through the family as adults and pups tumble together on the warm sand in exuberant displays of affection. Mutual grooming reinforces social bonds, dusting red grains from coats and calming young nerves after the double ambush. Oversized dark eye patches glow with innocent curiosity, completely protected by the selfless vigilance of the clan sentry. Golden evening light stretches across the Kalahari scrubland, restoring peace to the vast expanse where danger recently reigned supreme. Resuming their foraging before nightfall, the clan digs into the cooling sand to uncover beetles and juicy succulent roots. Long, sharp claws extract a fat desert beetle grub, providing vital hydration and nutrients before the cold night. Unconditional cooperation ensures every pup is fed, building strength for the daily trials that define life in the desert. As the sun dips low, the clan marches in disciplined, single file along the dune crest toward their main fortress. Bathed in fiery rim light, the little desert sentinels stand tall, unbroken by the predators that rule the skies. One by one, the clan slips into the deep labyrinth of their ancestral citadel, safe from the freezing desert night. The vast Kalahari dunes settle into profound stillness, glowing in crimson and violet as night blankets the ancient desert. Stationed on the highest crest, the sentry casts one last watchful gaze across his territory as dusk descends completely. In a world of giants and venom, survival belongs to the united, small hearts beating together against the infinite night. On the sun-drenched plains of North America, an unconventional bird of prey emerges from underground to claim the morning sky. From the subterranean den below, two fluffy downy chicks peek into the daylight, relying completely on their parents for protection. Large amber-yellow eyes and a unique silver flight feather mark this seasoned guardian, adapted to spot movement from ground level. Unlike tree-dwelling raptors, these small ground owls thrive in abandoned rodent burrows across the open shortgrass sea. In a rare display of avian ingenuity, the owl arranges dried bison dung around the burrow to attract dung beetles. Long featherless legs spring forward like stilt-like traps, pinning an unsuspecting scarab beetle in a fraction of a second. Passing the fresh catch to an eager chick, the parent sustains the hungry brood beneath the harsh open prairie. 50 meters away in a dry wash, a silent predator navigates the cracked clay, drawn toward the rodent burrows. A heavy-bodied prairie rattlesnake glides across the soil, searching for underground chambers where warm-blooded prey cannot escape. Specialized heat-sensing facial pits detect thermal signatures in the dark, turning underground burrows into lethal dead ends. Hollow interlocking keratin rings vibrate at 50 times per second, signaling the approach of North America's premier pit viper. Hearing the dry rattle in the grass, the parent owl snaps around, yellow eyes dilating as the reptile approaches. Bobbing rapidly up and down on long legs, the owl emits an urgent chattering alarm to order an immediate retreat. Heeding the warning, the downy chicks scramble backward into the dark, winding tunnel, vanishing safely into the subterranean earth. With fangs at the threshold, the parent owl spreads its wings to block the entrance, standing between life and death. At the threshold of the subterranean den, the parent owl inflates its plumage, transforming into a formidable feathery shield. Sensing thermal warmth radiating from the tunnel, the rattlesnake glides forward, intent on penetrating the cool underground sanctuary. Snapping its sharp beak like castanets, the owl flashes its silver-tipped wing, creating a confusing wall of visual motion. Loud, rhythmic mandible snaps echo across the clay rim, warning the venomous reptile that entry will be contested. Under the blistering midday heat, the open prairie offers no mercy, turning the burrow entrance into a desperate fortress. Deep inside the dark chamber, the chicks unleash their secret evolutionary weapon, producing a loud, raspy collective hiss. Vibrating their throats against the earthen walls, the chicks mimic the exact frequency of an agitated rattlesnake's buzzing tail. Hearing the menacing rattle resonating from within the hole, the pit viper halts, confused by an apparent territorial rival. Heat-sensing pits detect warm bodies, yet auditory vibrations warn of a lethal venomous resident occupying the narrow tunnel. Seizing on the reptile's hesitation, the parent owl flutters upward, striking down with bare talons at the coiled tail. Beating broad wings close to the ground, the owl showers the serpent in blinding dust, disrupting its strike trajectory. Blinded by swirling dirt and buffeted by wings, the viper coils tightly into an S-curve, rattling in defense. Landing squarely on long legs, the brave guardian maintains relentless pressure, refusing to give the invader a moment's rest. Trapped between acoustic deception from inside and ferocious wing strikes from outside, the venomous hunter begins backing away. As the rattlesnake turns toward the open grassland, the parent owl holds the earthen mound, poised for any final retaliation. Gliding smoothly through dry buffalo grass, the prairie rattlesnake retreats across the flat basin, abandoning the heavily defended subterranean burrow. The segmented keratin rattle slips silently between dry stems, carrying the defeated pit viper far from the owl family. Standing victorious in warm late-afternoon sunlight, the guardian preens its ruffled plumage, shaking fine clay dust from its wings. Golden amber light washes over the peaceful prairie basin, erasing the tension that gripped the colony throughout the scorching afternoon. Leaning down toward the dark entrance, the parent owl emits soft, melodic chirrups, calling the hidden chicks into the light. Two buff-gray downy chicks scramble out onto the warm earth, blinking in wonder at the gentle evening glow. Parent and chicks engage in joyful head-bobbing greetings on the mound, reinforcing the unbreakable family bond that saved their home. Snatching a passing cricket from the grass, the parent feeds its hungry brood, replenishing their energy after the harrowing trial. Oversized round yellow eyes glow with innocent trust in the sunset light, completely unharmed by the retreating venomous intruder. Together on their earthen mound, the small family stands proud, silhouetted against an expansive prairie sky painted in fiery gold. Stretching broad mottled wings, the guardian reveals its silver flight feather, glowing like a beacon in the rich crimson twilight. The vast North American plains settle into breathtaking majesty, painted in deep purple and crimson as evening approaches. With a silent flutter, the parent settles beside its young, ready to watch over the colony through the gathering dusk. Perched motionless on the earthen rim, the solitary sentry gazes into the twilight as the first evening stars emerge above. Underground or in the sky, true strength is not measured in size, but in the boundless ingenuity of devotion. Under the scorching dry season sun, a massive white rhinoceros mother navigates cracked mudflats toward the last remaining waterhole. Sticking close to her protective flanks, her young calf drinks eagerly, guarded by nearly 2 tons of prehistoric power. Her front horn, worn flat on the left side from years of digging, serves as a lethal defensive lance. As drought tightens its grip across the savanna, waterholes shrink into high-risk arenas where predators wait for desperate herbivores. Kneeling into the cool silt, she coats her thick hide in gray mud, creating a natural shield against the sun. 2-inch thick dermal plating and a drying crust of mud render her virtually invulnerable to single predatory bites. Imitating its mother, the small calf splashes awkwardly in the shallows, coating its delicate skin with protective gray silt. 100 meters away behind the bleached thorn thickets, low amber eyes track the vulnerable calf across open ground. Driven by desperate hunger, an adult lioness creeps through the scrub, fixing her predatory gaze on the small calf. Amber eyes calculate the massive physical risk, knowing that bypassing the armored mother is a matter of life and death. Moving with fluid stealth, she advances across the open calcrete pan, keeping low to minimize her silhouette against the flat horizon. Though her eyesight is poor, her keen sense of smell catches the feline musk. The mother snaps around instantly. Stepping aggressively between the threat and her calf, she presents a 2-ton living barricade of impenetrable dermal armor. Trembling in the mud, the young calf retreats tightly between its mother's sturdy hind legs, completely sheltered from view. Lowering her chisel-shaped horn into charge position, the 2-ton mother locks eyes with the hungry predator across the cracked clay. Under the blistering noon sun, the hungry lioness shifts her weight, seeking an opening around the mother's impenetrable guard. Circling with predatory agility, the big cat attempts to outflank the herbivore and target the calf trapped behind her. Despite her colossal bulk, the mother pivots with surprising speed, keeping her lethal horn locked directly onto the attacker. Her chisel-shaped horn points forward like a solid lance, backed by hundreds of pounds of pure neck muscle. Under the blinding noon sun, the cracked calcrete pan becomes a blazing arena where ancient armor meets apex cunning. Exploding into a thundering charge, the mother accelerates to 40 kilometers per hour, driving nearly 2 tons of armor forward. Massive 3-toed hooves strike the baked ground with seismic force, shattering dry clay tiles beneath 2 tons of momentum. Sweeping her chisel horn in a devastating upward arc, she narrowly misses the lioness, who leaps backward in sheer panic. Tumbling across the hard clay, the predator scrambles to her feet, shocked by the surprising velocity of the armored behemoth. Unthreatened at the waterhole rim, the young calf watches quietly, fully shielded by its mother's aggressive counterattack. Skidding to a halt on powerful legs, the mother turns around in a cloud of dust, ready to charge again. Panting heavily in the dry heat, the lioness realizes that brute speed cannot overcome nearly 2 tons of relentless defense. Taking heavy, deliberate steps forward, the mother advances relentlessly, using her sheer physical mass to push the predator away. Yielding to the unstoppable mother, the hungry lioness turns away, retreating into the thorny shadows of the scrub. Standing undefeated at the edge of the scrub, The 2-ton matriarch watches the brush line, holding total control of the territory. With the threat eliminated, the colossal mother turns away from the scrub, pacing steadily back toward the muddy waterhole. Her flared nostrils relax in the cooling breeze, catching only the soothing scents of dry grass and damp clay. Golden late afternoon light bathes the shrinking waterhole, transforming the muddy basin into a tranquil desert sanctuary. Recognizing the familiar heavy footfalls, the stocky calf trots eagerly forward, greeting its victorious mother on the cracked mudflats. Lowering her massive head, the mother gently nuzzles her calf's face, reaffirming the deep bond forged through prehistoric survival. Pressing against the scarred shoulder of its protector, the young rhino rests safely beneath 2 tons of living armor. Red-billed oxpeckers flutter back to their favorite perches, picking harmlessly at parasites across her thick, slate-gray hide. Delicate red beaks clean deep skin folds, maintaining the ancient alliance between avian sentinels and their armored host. Side by side, mother and calf step into the cool mud, soothing their battle-tested bodies beneath the crimson evening sky. Submerging into the comforting silt, they coat their skin in protective mud, washing away the heat of the day. Drinking deeply from the quiet pool, they replenish their strength, undisturbed by the predators that rule the night. The drying savanna settles into breathtaking majesty, painted in deep violet and gold as evening blankets the wilderness. Side by side with her calf, the ancient giant marches into the cool darkness, unbroken by the savanna's fiercest hunters. Standing motionless on a gentle rise, the mother casts one last watchful gaze across her territory as night descends. In the crucible of drought, ancient armor and unyielding maternal devotion stand victorious against the most lethal predators. Emerging into the cooling afternoon light, a Temminck's ground pangolin walks upright on 2 legs, balanced by her heavy tail. Clinging tightly to the base of her tail, a miniature scaled pup hitches a ride across the perilous desert terrain. Forged from pure keratin, her overlapping armor plates withstand claw and fang, bearing only 3 chipped scales from past trials. Across these dry, sandy woodlands, towering earthen mounds house millions of termites, providing vital sustenance for specialized nocturnal hunters. Massive, curved front claws tear through cement-hard clay with effortless power, exposing subterranean chambers teeming with living protein. A 16-inch, sticky, muscular tongue darts deep into the labyrinth, harvesting hundreds of insects with every rapid retraction. Climbing down from her tail, the pup practices probing the excavated soil, nourished under the watchful protection of its mother. 70 meters away on a rocky ridge, a master ambush predator awakens, drawn by the sound of crumbling clay. A powerful African leopard descends from the rocks, his golden-spotted coat glowing under the rich evening rim light. Amber eyes narrow with intense interest as the cat calculates how to bypass the armored hide and secure the pup. Creeping across the open clearing, the spotted hunter closes the distance, utilizing dead logs for momentary visual concealment. A sudden shift in the breeze carries the scent of feline danger. The mother snaps upright, every sense screaming alarm. Tucking her vulnerable pup securely against her soft belly, she coils into an impenetrable armored sphere of overlapping keratin plates. Beveled scale edges lock tight like medieval chainmail, shielding the precious life inside with 80 million years of evolution. Bursting from the shadows, the leopard pounces with full force, slamming powerful claws down onto the impenetrable living boulder. Clamping its powerful jaws onto the sphere, the leopard's sharp canines slide helplessly across the rock-hard keratin plates. Dense, fibrous scales resist immense bite pressure, leaving not a single puncture mark on the 80-million-year-old evolutionary shield. Frustrated by the impenetrable armor, the cat bats the living boulder across the sand, attempting to dislodge its grip. Rolling across red clay, the sphere remains solidly locked, protected by powerful dorsal muscles that refuse to yield. The mother activates an active counter-defense, flexing her tail scales to snap open and shut like razor-sharp shears. Beveled scale edges snap tightly together with shearing force, creating a lethal perimeter capable of slicing soft predatory paws. Snagged by the snapping scales, the leopard jerks its front paw backward, with a sharp hiss of sudden pain. Licking a stinging paw on the red earth, amber eyes evaluate the living fortress with growing reluctance and exhaustion. Under the fiery purple twilight, the open savanna falls silent as brute predator strength fails against prehistoric defensive perfection. Inside the dark, subterranean-like warmth of the ball, the pup rests in complete safety against its mother's soft belly. Making one final attempt, the leopard hooks curved claws under the tail seam, trying to pry open the armor. With colossal muscular clamping power, the broad tail tightens further, sealing the seam flush against the hard outer scales. Amber eyes narrow in calculated defeat, recognizing that continued effort will only bring further injury and wasted energy. Turning away into the encroaching dusk, the spotted hunter admits defeat, leaving the unbroken sphere resting on the sands. As the predator steps into the shadows, the armored ball remains perfectly still, waiting for the wild night to settle. Resting in the cool sand, the armored sphere begins to loosen as delicate nostrils test the night air for lingering scent. Slowly uncoiling her broad tail, the mother exposes her narrow conical head, blinking dark eyes under the starlit sky. Rising onto sturdy hind legs, she scans the quiet woodland, confirming that the spotted hunter has completely vanished. From beneath her soft chest, the miniature pup emerges, uncurling its soft pinkish-brown scales into the cool desert breeze. Nudging the small one with her pointed snout, the mother confirms her offspring is completely unharmed after the siege. With practiced agility, the tiny pup scrambles up her hind leg, settling securely onto the broad base of her tail. Tiny curved claws grip tightly between overlapping keratin plates, anchoring the rider for the nocturnal journey ahead. Balancing with her heavy armored tail, the mother resumes her bipedal march across the red Kalahari sands. Beneath the silver glow of the desert moon, the woodland settles into profound stillness, untroubled by distant predators. Pausing beside an old clay mound, she uses powerful front claws to open a fresh tunnel of nutrient-rich termites. Her long, sticky tongue probes the dark earth, harvesting insects to replenish vital energy expended during the defensive trial. Side by side with the next generation, she walks across the ridge, an ancient living relic thriving in modern wilderness. The vast Kalahari night stretches into infinite darkness, crowned by billions of twinkling stars and celestial dust. Standing atop a high sand ridge, the solitary mother gazes across her domain, an unbroken symbol of evolutionary perfection. Against the sharpest claws of Africa, true invulnerability is found in quiet resilience and unconditional maternal devotion. In the arid high basins of North America, an American badger emerges at dawn, engineered for relentless subterranean demolition. Walking with a rolling, low-slung gait, this formidable mustelid sweeps across the plain, hunting for underground rodent colonies. A crooked white facial stripe and notched left ear tell the tale of a veteran excavator honed by countless subterranean battles. Across these expansive high-desert basins, rodent colonies tunnel deep beneath the hard earth, safe from ordinary surface predators. Locating an active ground squirrel tunnel, the badger digs furiously, sending fountains of pale earth spraying into the air. 2-inch curved ivory claws slice through compacted soil and tough roots like mechanical blades, outmatching any shovel. Panicked by the subterranean destruction, a ground squirrel bolts from an emergency exit, fleeing across the open flatlands. 60 meters away along a dry wash, an opportunistic hunter watches the plumes of dust, reading the signs of a hunt. A lean coyote trots forward with quiet confidence, well aware that the badger's excavation will flush prey into the open. Keen amber eyes and acute hearing track subterranean thuds, calculating the exact exits where escaping rodents must emerge. Positioning itself 15 paces away, the agile canine sits in patient anticipation, covering the escape routes above ground. Popping its masked head from the trench, the badger acknowledges the coyote with a brief snort before returning to the dig. It is a masterclass in mutualism. The badger dominates the underground, while the coyote controls the surface exits. Cornered deep in the dark, a ground squirrel erupts from the soil, leaping directly into the waiting ambush. As the coyote pounces from above and the badger explodes from below, cooperative hunting turns into a fierce contest for the prize. Slamming its paws onto the dry earth, the coyote snatches the fleeing rodent in a flash of lightning precision. Snapping jaws secure the catch as dust billows around the canid's lean legs under the blazing morning sun. Erupting from the hole, the badger releases a guttural war snarl, reminding the partner that boundaries must be respected. Long ivory digging claws rake the earth as bared white teeth warn the canid against claiming more than its share. Backing away with ears tilted, the clever coyote yields ground, respecting the ferocious temperament of its short-legged digging ally. Under the intensifying midday sun, the open prairie shimmers with heat as predator alliances govern the rhythm of life. Turning back to the excavated trench, the badger pushes deep into the collapsed tunnel, pursuing prey trapped below. Massive front limbs churn through compacted clay, cornering a second ground squirrel within its subterranean dead end. Muscular shoulders flex beneath grizzled fur as razor-sharp claws breach the final nesting chamber deep underground. Snapping its powerful jaws in the subterranean gloom, the badger claims its own hard-earned prize from the labyrinth. Emerging onto the sunlit mound with its meal, the mustelid feeds steadily, rewarded for relentless subterranean labor. Watching from 20 paces away, the coyote rests peacefully on the gravel ridge, full and undisturbed. Shaking thick clay dust from its grizzled coat, the badger pauses, completely refreshed after a successful joint operation. Side by side across the Golden Basin, two distinct species survey the expanse, bound by evolutionary synergy. As the scorching midday heat settles over the prairie, the unlikely hunting partners retreat toward the cool sandstone washes. Sheltered beneath cool sandstone overhangs, the two hunters rest through the heat, sharing the shaded sanctuary in mutual tolerance. Coarse, grizzled fur rises and falls in slow rhythm as the badger conserves vital stamina for the approaching evening. Nearby, the coyote rests with head on paws, amber eyes watching the shifting shadows of the desert wash. As the afternoon cools, golden light sweeps across the high sagebrush basin, signaling the arrival of the evening hunt. Stirring from the shade, both predators stretch their limbs, preparing to resume their solitary paths across the plains. Exchanging one last quiet glance, the temporary alliance dissolves without conflict, sealed by mutual hunting success. Trotting toward distant sandstone bluffs, the agile coyote fades into the golden grass, moving with effortless canine grace. Amber sunlight highlights the bushy tail as the solitary wanderer heads into the vast expanse of the open prairie. Waddling with heavy rolling steps, the badger heads back across the red soil toward its own secure subterranean den. Powerful front claws scrape the earth in gentle rhythm, leaving deep tracks across the cooling sagebrush desert. The vast North American sky erupts into shades of fiery gold and crimson, casting long purple shadows across the basin. Reaching the familiar earthen mound of its ancestral burrow, the badger pauses to survey the breathtaking prairie sunset. Standing tall on short, sturdy legs, the grizzled excavator watches the fading light, an unbroken master of the underground. With a smooth roll of heavy shoulders, the badger slips down into the dark tunnel, safe beneath the earth. On the wild grasslands of the West, survival is forged not only through fierce independence, but in unexpected partnerships. Striding across the golden African savanna on stilt-like legs, an avian assassin patrols the dry plains with deadly royal elegance. High atop a flat-topped acacia, her downy chick rests in a massive stick nest, entirely dependent on her lethal hunting prowess. Black quill crests, vivid orange facial skin, and long scale-armored legs define this unique raptor, built to crush venom on the ground. Across the vast open grasslands, hidden vipers lie coiled in dry tussocks, waiting for unwary footsteps in the blazing morning heat. Pacing with measured strides, she stomps the soil forcefully, using heavy footfalls to flush camouflaged reptiles from the dense grass. Thick scaled leg armor shields against venomous fangs, functioning like living greaves as she searches the baking savanna floor. From the elevated platform, the hungry chick chirps softly, waiting for its mother to return with fresh reptilian sustenance. 50 meters ahead, beside sun-baked stones, a master of disguise lies motionless, perfectly matching the bleached yellow landscape. A heavy-bodied puff adder lies coiled in ambush, its chevron-patterned scales rendering it completely invisible to ordinary eyes. Possessing one of the fastest strike speeds in the animal kingdom, this deadly viper packs enough cytotoxic venom to kill within hours. Keen raptor eyesight pierces the camouflage. The secretary bird halts instantly, locking her piercing dark gaze onto the coiled serpent. Spreading her massive gray wings wide like battle shields, she steps forward, using her plumage to distract the viper's thermal senses. Detecting the giant bird, the puff adder inflates its heavy body, releasing a terrifying deep hiss to ward off the attacker. Dancing on nimble feet just outside striking range, the bird feints with her wingtips, baiting the serpent to lunge forward. As the viper coils tighter to unleash its lightning strike, the secretary bird raises her lethal talon for a crushing blow. Delivering 5 times her body weight in 15 milliseconds, her scale-armored foot strikes down like a hydraulic piston. Massive downward velocity generates 40 pounds of pinpoint kinetic force, shattering the dry earth and disabling the viper. Dazed by the concussive blow, the venomous pit viper slumps onto the clay, its deadly striking reflex completely broken. Without hesitation, she delivers a rapid secondary stomp, ensuring the dangerous reptile is fully neutralized before handling. Bending her long neck, she clamps her hooked bill behind the triangular skull, lifting the heavy body with effortless strength. With vigorous lateral head whips, she thrashes the catch against the hard soil, breaking vertebrae to prepare the meal. Tilting her head toward the blazing midday sky, she begins swallowing the limp viper headfirst with powerful esophageal contractions. Under the blinding midday sun, the arid clearing falls silent once more, bearing witness to the supreme triumphs of evolutionary adaptation. Spreading her broad 2-meter wings in majestic triumph, she shakes her plumage, energized by the fresh influx of calories. Carefully preening her long crest quills and sharp hooked beak, she readies herself for the flight back to the nest. Standing tall against the cooling horizon, her sharp dark eyes lock onto the distant acacia canopy where her chick waits. Taking 4 powerful running strides across the earth, she spreads massive wings, launching her heavy frame into the evening thermals. Soaring gracefully on broad wings, the avian assassin glides across the fiery sunset sky toward the safety of her treetop fortress. Hearing the heavy wing beats above, the downy chick stands on wobbly legs, chirping with excitement at the approaching silhouette. Breaking with broad wings in the crimson dusk, the mother touches down on the nest rim, securing the future of her bloodline. Bending gently over the stick nest, the mother delivers nutritious sustenance, rewarding her chick with the hard-earned spoils of the hunt. Swallowing the meal with quiet trills, the nourished chick presses its soft body against its mother's scale-armored leg. With gentle touches of her hooked bill, she preens the chick's downy crest, easing it into peaceful evening slumber. Lowering her broad, pale gray wing, she shelters the small one completely, creating an unyielding fortress against the nocturnal elements. High above the plains, the ancient flat-topped acacia tree stands timeless, holding life above a wild and unforgiving world. Her iconic quill crest catches the last fiery sunbeams, a crown of endurance earned through mastery over Earth's deadliest venom. Across 60 minutes of raw wilderness drama, 10 extraordinary survivors have demonstrated the astonishing ingenuity of life on Earth. From the ferocious defense of the honey badger to the impenetrable armors of pangolins and rhinos, courage overcomes size. Through acoustic deception, collective sentry vigilance, and cross-species cooperation, nature proves that survival is an art of supreme intelligence. Under the protective canopy of feathers, the next generation sleeps undisturbed, safe in the crown of the ancient tree. Silhouetted against the indigo twilight, the majestic raptor stands as an eternal sentinel over the sleeping African plains. Reflecting the celestial canopy above, dark, unblinking eyes gaze into the cosmos, carrying the wisdom of ancient lineage. Across the endless African night, the Milky Way arches in celestial glory, watching over a world of unyielding survivors. From high treetops to subterranean burrows, 10 brave species hold their ground, defying the darkest predators of the wild. For in the grand arena of nature, survival is not merely about size or strength, but the unbreakable will to live.